Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation, with a Provident Metals 10-ounce silver bar review. Let's explore! For those familiar with my channel, you may know that in the past I have done mainly collector coin reviews from bullion dealers, and typically silver coins. But this time I'm doing a 10-ounce silver bar review, which would be classified more as bullion from Provident Metals. And as is always the case, I always like to be transparent with videos like this, as they did send me this bar free in order to review it. But they also make clear when they send me a product to be honest in my assessment thereof. And I think that is a testament to them and to you as well, to be honest and forthcoming, because it helps with product development for the future and the like. And I tend to be a bit nitpicky when it comes to reviewing products. A lot of it is personal opinion. There's times where I've reviewed other products and people say, well, that doesn't bother me, and that type of thing. But what I find quite interesting about this bar that is different from the other coins I collect is typically the other coins that I've reviewed and have collected over the years, they have a higher premium tied to them. Now, I have also reviewed some better bullion pieces or a lower premium and high premium, and typically they have a lower mintage, and there's no mintage caps on this particular bar here. But nonetheless, it's fascinating indeed, and I think it's quite intriguing. This is obviously, it has the Provident Metal name on it, but typically bars like this and other bullion out there that you find are referred to as generic bullion. Although I really have come to question that term, because this is obviously not generic. It's got the brand name Provident Metals on it. And others like a Golden State Mint, Buffalo Round, and the like, they do have names, but it's typically referred to as that because it's not minted by a sovereign entity. And this particular bar was minted by Silvertown for Provident Metals. And it is quite unique because it has this incused design. In other words, the design elements are sunken into the metal, pressed in when the die strikes it. This is a die-struck bar. It is the typical size that you would find for a bar of this style. It is 10 troy ounces, and it has the dimensions of 90 by 52 by 7 millimeters thick, which is a pretty standard. It comes in this sealed plastic covering here, which is sometimes these sealed plastics tend to break loose a bit after a while, but this seems to be fairly well made, and it comes together. These can come in sheets of 20 bars, where they can have to be separated out, but they have made that perforated there so it will come off fairly cleanly if that were to occur, if you order 20 or more. Now, this is a bar that you may wonder, well, what's the advantage of having a Provident Metals, a 10-ounce bar from any other bar out there? Well, I would say that this would probably be a good thing if you decide to sell back to Provident Metals, as they would probably recognize it immediately. You've got a Provident Metals 10-ounce bar, we can stand by it, and it'd be highly liquid with Provident Metals. But the disadvantage may be if you were to sell it to another online bullion dealer out there. However, that disadvantage may not be that big of a deal, as perhaps another competitor may still take the bar and maybe melt it down or resell it some other way, or maybe even sell it to Provident Metals. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But nonetheless, I do think that is one advantage if you decide, if you've sold to them in the past and the like, this may be a way to do it. Now, again, as I said, Provident Metals, they have encouraged me to be honest in my review for their products, and this is no exception. And so typically in a case like this, and I do tend to nitpick a bit, there's one thing that I would change on this bar, and that is the reverse here. Now, this is not uncommon with other bars of this style in the past. You may have noticed it yourself, but there's no exception to this, is that the edges here, the corners, are beveled. And it almost looks like they're filed down, or it was a part of the manufacturing process to give this sort of that look. Now, I have to wonder if perhaps they were filed down to make it exactly 10 ounces. I don't know the case, but I believe that if that were the case, they should probably have done a better job in machining it to a more exact specification to get it to that 10 ounces. But if it was a manufacturing process, I would hope they can find a way to remedy that for future releases, because that does detract away from its beauty. Even though it is generic silver, you're protected by the intrinsic value thereof. There's something about a beautifully crafted silver piece such as this that does make it stand out. I love the fact that the background is mirrored where the design elements are, and that the fields, or essentially raised portions, are frosted. That will allow for handling of the bar with minimal, noticing smudges or scratches, because that frosting will essentially guard against that to a certain level or degree. Another slight drawback, I would say, would be the very thin fonts used for metals and the weight and specifications. I would have probably made those a bit thicker so that you can read them better. But it does say, we'll get a closer look here, it says, Provident Metals, 10 troy ounces of 3/9 fine silver. Very, very cool. And it has a repeating logo in the background. And of course, that logo is seen with the sort of the navigation compass there with the north arrow. And it's sort of a tilted in a sense there. And we see that pattern repeated on the four corners of this side of the bar. It's a very unique and interesting design. And then on the reverse, we have the repeating logo, Provident. That is relatively common. You see for other brands that do the same thing on the reverse of their bars. But very cool. It gives you a sense that it is a nice and quality strike there. Very, very cool indeed. So this, again, being the standard size, these are very easy to stack, and I think the incused nature of these will make them even easier to stack, because you know that there's no surface that's going to be above the outer rim here, which makes it very nice and easy. Of course, it being flat in this measure, if you have a good number of these, it really does stack well, even with the plastic on it, which is nice, because there's not much of a lip there around the edges, which I think is quite appealing and nice, because I've had trouble with that with other 10-ounce bars in the past with that packaging. So very, very cool. Kudos, I think, to the manufacturing process of this. Silvertown had done that, but very, very cool indeed. And the edges, as most of these kind of bars, are smooth all around. And again, my only drawback would be the beveling there. So very cool. So there's my honest review of this bar. For those of you who are interested, I will post a link in the description below. And I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.